The Witch of Whispering Woods. In the heart of Whispering Woods, where the shadows danced and the moon barely pierced the canopy, there lived a legend, a tale whispered in hushed tones around village fires. The Witch of Whispering Woods, they called her. A sinister enchantress who emerged from the depths of the forest when the war children had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the echoes of their terror. The villagers, gripped by fear, locked their doors and barred their windows every night. Parents held their children closer, their eyes darting nervously into the night. Eleanor, a brave and curious girl of 10, had always been drawn to the stories. She would sit by the fire, wide-eyed, listening to the chilling tales of the witch. Something about the mystery intrigued her, and as the days grew shorter and the nights colder, her determination to unravel the truths. One moonless night, Eleanor decided to confront the darkness. She donned her warmest cloak, tied her hair tightly, and set off towards Whispering Woods. The trees loomed tall and foreboding, their gnarled branches twisting like skeletal fingers. The night was filled with an eerie silence, save for tea. As Eleanor ventured deeper into the woods, a feeling of being watched settled over her. She quickened her pace, heart pounding, and soon came upon a clearing where an ancient, decrepit cottage stood. Its timbers groaned, and ivy-clad walls seemed to whisper secrets of ages long past. Summoning her courage, Eleanor approached cautiously. A feeble light emanated from within, casting ghostly shadows on the ground. She pressed her ear to the door, hearing faint murmurs and the rustling of pages. With a trembling hand, she pushed open the creaking door. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of must and old parchment. Shelves lined with dusty tomes loomed over her, their spines bearing strange symbols and incantations. In the center of the room, hunched over a flickering candle, sat the witch. The witch's eyes, like pools of obsidian, bore into. "I am Eleanor," she stammered, her voice trembling, "and I seek to know the truth of the children you have taken." The witch's lips curled into a wicked smile. "Curiosity is a dangerous gift, child, but since you are here, perhaps you shall have your answers." As the witch spoke, a story unfolded, a tale of loss and longing, of a curse that bound her to the woods, forever craving the warmth of companionship. "The children," she explained, "were not taken but rather brought to her, drawn by a spectral force." Tears welled in the witch's eyes as she spoke of Th. Eleanor, moved by the witch's tale, felt a glimmer of empathy. Together, they hatched a plan to free the children from the spectral force's grasp while breaking the witch's curse. It would not be easy, but Eleanor was determined to bring an end to the darkness that had shrouded the woods for far too. As the first rays of dawn painted the horizon, Eleanor and the witch set to work, weaving a tapestry of magic and courage. The forest seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the outcome of their audacious endeavor. When the final incantation was spoken, the woods echoed with a triumphant surge of power. The spectral force was bound, and the witch's curse was shattered. In that moment, Eleanor saw a glimmer of gratitude in the witch's eyes, a spark of humanity long buried beneath layers of sorrow. With the dawn, the forest transformed. Whispering Woods no longer held the same malevolent aura. The trees seemed to stand a little taller, the air felt lighter, and the wind whispered promises of a new beginning. Eleanor returned to the village a heroine, her heart forever changed by the encounter with the Witch of Whispering Woods. And as the years passed, the legend transformed, no longer a tale of terror, but one of redemption and the enduring power of empathy. And so, the Witch of Whispering Woods found her place in the tapestry of stories, a reminder that sometimes, even in the darkest of places, compassion and understanding can break the most ancient of curses. The Haunting of Emily's Doll. Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between ancient woods and mist-covered hills, there lived a young girl named Emily. She was known for her cherubic smile and sparkling blue eyes, but she harbored a secret, a doll that held a dark and vengeful spirit. The doll, a relic of forgotten times, had once belonged to Emily's great-grandmother, Abigail. Abigail had been a peculiar woman, known for her fascination with the occult. It was whispered that she possessed a sinister power, a gift that allowed her to bind malevolent spirits to objects. Emily's due. For years, the doll had remained dormant, nestled among the cobweb-covered relics in the attic. But one fateful night, as a storm raged outside, lightning struck a nearby tree, sending a bolt of energy surging through the old house. The doll, hidden away in the attic, trembled with an eerie life. Its glassy eyes, once dull and lifeless, now gleamed with an unholy light. The doll's porcelain skin seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and its tiny, painted lips twisted into a sinister grin. As the storm raged on, Emily lay in her bed, blissfully unaware of the malevolent force stirring above her. The doll's whispers echoed through the house, carried by the howling wind. It spoke of revenge, of long-forgotten slights and ancient grievances. That night, Emily's dreams were plagued by visions of a shadowy figure, a twisted reflection of the doll that sat innocently on her shelf. It spoke to her in a voice that seemed to emanate from the depths of the abyss, promising horrors beyond imagination. When Emily awoke the next morning, she found the doll in a different position, its plastic fingers clutching a small, ornate dagger. Trembling, she returned it to its place on the shelf, convincing herself it was just a trick of the shadows. But the doll's malevolence would not be contained. Night after night, it crept closer, inching toward Emily's bed with every passing hour. Its whispers grew louder, more insistent, and Emily's once bright eyes dimmed with fear. Emily's parents noticed the change in their daughter. She became pale and withdrawn, her once lively spirit replaced by a somber, haunted look. They sensed something was amiss, but they couldn't fathom the sinister truth that lurked in the attic. One fateful night, as the moon hung low and the world was blanketed in silence, the doll made its move. It slithered from the shelf, its porcelain limbs creaking with the sound of ancient bones. With a malevolent glint in its glassy eyes, it brandished the dagger. As the cold steel pressed against Emily's trembling skin, a flash of memory coursed through the doll's cursed spirit. It remembered the pain and suffering endured by its original owner, Abigail, and the generations of torment that followed. But as the doll poised to strike, a sudden burst of courage surged through Emily, with a strength she didn't know she possessed. She wrenched the dagger from the doll's grip and hurled it across the room. The doll let out a wail, a sound that echoed with centuries of frustration. In that moment, Emily knew what she had to do. She gathered the doll and the accursed dagger, and with a sense of purpose, she climbed the creaking stairs to the attic, with the doll in one hand and the dagger in the other. Emily stood before the attic window, the first rays of dawn casting long shadows across the room. With a final, resolute breath, she drove the dagger into the doll's heart. As the dagger pierced the porcelain, a blinding light consumed the attic, and a cacophony of anguished screams echoed through the house. When the light finally faded, the attic was empty, save for a pile of shattered porcelain and a sense of lingering, eerie stillness. From that day forward, Emily's spirit began to heal. The darkness that had clung to her soul began to recede, replaced by a newfound strength and resilience. The haunted doll was no more. Its vengeful spirit finally laid to rest. But the town would never forget the tale of Emily's doll. A story whispered around campfires and told to children as a cautionary tale. And in the quiet hours of the night, some still claimed to hear the faint echo of porcelain whispers. A reminder that even in the most innocent of forms, evil can out. The Nightmare's Embrace. In the quiet town of Hollowbrook, nestled beneath the shroud of ancient trees, there lived a boy named Timothy. Timothy was an ordinary boy with an unordinary ability. He could vividly recall his dreams, each one a tapestry of colors and emotions that danced in his mind. One fateful night, as the moon hung low and the shadows grew long, Timothy lay down to sleep. As his eyes closed, he slipped into the realm of dreams, only to find himself standing in a desolate, moonlit forest. Chill winds whispered through the gnarled branches, and an ominous silence enveloped the land. The air was heavy with foreboding, and Timothy felt a shiver crawl down his spine. He knew With an inexplicable certainty that this was not his dream, panic clutched at his chest. Suddenly, the guttural growl echoed through the trees, sending terror coursing through Timothy's veins. From the shadows emerged a monstrous creature, its eyes gleaming like molten embers in the night. It was a nightmarish amalgamation of fangs, claws, and darkness. "You've strayed into my realm," the creature hissed, its voice a twisted symphony of malice. "Now, you're mine." Timothy tried to scream, but his voice was lost in the suffocating stillness. He stumbled backward, heart pounding. But there was no escape. The creature moved with unnerving grace, each step a deliberate echo of impending doom. Every corner of the nightmarish landscape seemed to conspire against him, trees contorted into grotesque shapes, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and the ground trembled beneath his feet. Hours turned into eternities as Timothy ran, but the nightmare held him captive. Desperation consumed him, gnawing at the edges of his sanity. He knew he couldn't remain in this wretched place much longer. Just as hope began to wane, a glimmer of light pierced the suffocating darkness. It was a faint, distant glow, beckoning him like a lifeline. He sprinted toward it, fueled by sheer terror and an unyielding will to survive. As he drew nearer, the light coalesced into an ethereal door, its edges shimmering like liquid silver. With trembling hands, Timothy pushed it open, stumbling through into a new dreamscape. He found himself in a serene meadow bathed in golden light, a stark contrast to the nightmare he'd just escaped. Relief washed over him, but he knew he couldn't stay. The monster still lurked in the shadows, hungry for its prey. Determined, Timothy set out to unravel the secrets of this dream realm, seeking a way to banish the nightmare that threatened to consume him. He delved into forgotten lore, confronting his deepest fears, and forging alliances with the dreamscape's denizens. With newfound courage, Timothy faced the monstrous entity once more. Through a symphony of his own strength and the magic of dreams, he mustered a torrent of light that seared through the nightmare, unraveling its malevolent form. As the nightmare dissipated, the forest faded away, leaving Timothy standing in the stillness of his own bedroom. He awoke, drenched in sweat, but a sense of triumph coursed through his veins. From that day forward, Timothy wielded the power of his dreams with newfound purpose. He knew that even in the darkest of places, one could find the light within. And he vowed to be a beacon for those lost in the nightmarish embrace of their own fears.